Now please join me in welcoming Fidji Simo, CEO of Instacart. Fidji will be interviewed by Deirdre Bosa, co-anchor TechCheck at CNBC.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Fidji.
Hi, Deirdre. How are you doing?
It feels so good to be back in Vegas.
I know, like real people, real audience, amazing.
It also somehow feels like it hasn't changed as I was walking through the convention center. One thing has changed. As soon as I walked in the door, I heard the first conversation I overheard, the I word, inflation. Someone was checking their phone. I don't know how many people are following the tick by tick of the Fed meeting, but that's all eyes on CNBC are there. Powell just raised by 75 basis points. Markets are once again going a little crazy. And the big elephant in the room, here especially, is inflation, right, yeah. Fidji? It's rising grocery prices, the likes of what we haven't seen in decades. How are you looking at it from Instacart's perspective?
Yeah, well, we have a room full of luminaries who are thinking exactly about the same problem. And so for us, the thing we look at is, retailers set prices on Instacart. And so we are seeing rising prices online as much as they're rising offline. And what that's resulting in is consumers kind of spending the same amount, but adjusting the number of items that they buy on each shopping trip. And so what that means is that consumers are putting less food on the table, which is obviously a very big problem. And so the way we're approaching that problem is trying to help consumers find the best possible ways for them to save. That means that we have onboarded way more discount and value retailers on Instacart. We are working with our CPG partners to offer more deals and make it easy to discover those deals. We have rolled out new payment methods like EBT SNAP for low-income population to be able to pay using this food assistance program. We have also rolled out cheaper delivery options like next-day delivery or pickup, and more benefits as part of Instacart Plus, which is our membership program. And so the result of all of that is that we're making grocery delivery more affordable. And if you were looking at kind of our consumer base 3 years ago, we were really over-indexed in affluent customers. Mm-hmm. If you look at it now, our consumer base is actually really similar to the composition of the entire US population in terms of income. And that's a testament to all of these innovations that we've brought to the market to make the service more affordable. But there's still a lot of room to continue doing that, especially in current times.
Right, and consumers, are you seeing them trade down as well, not buying as much things like meat, and you said discount items?
Yeah, it's adjusting the number of items and adjusting what they buy. So we see like less premium meats, for example, and a lot of focus on necessities. Their milk, their flour, like
As a whole, as we've been on this inflationary talk, but as well as economic slowdown, have you seen demand as a whole soften at all?
No, we haven't seen that. We have had a record 2021 in terms of like orders, GTV, et cetera, and we're still going very strong in 2022. But for us, it's really because if you look at the mega trend, the pandemic accelerated online adoption for grocery from like 3% online penetration to 10% online penetration. But every other category of retail is 20 to 30% penetrated online. And so there's still a 2 to 3x to go in terms of that online penetration, and that's really like kind of the waves that we're on.
Now, where I sit in San Francisco, I've been covering this for a long time. The idea that it's so underpenetrated, the online grocery space. Amazon has been trying to do this for over a decade, and it's been slow. And then the pandemic happened, and it got this big rush, and it's been pretty sticky. But I know that there's a lot of grocers in the audience, and this idea, I think that is still new, is that when you sell your goods online, what does that do to the prices at a time when maybe you're a small business owner or even a large chain, and you know that your consumers are becoming even more price sensitive? Why would going online through a third party reduce your expense or help you with that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to think about it. First off, it's very clear that the industry is shifting online. And so for the grocery industry, that's going to be the largest opportunity to either gain share or lose share. And when you have a network of physical store and such a lot of expenses in physical assets, this 1% share gain or 1% share loss actually has a major impact on your profitability. And so the thing we pride ourselves in is helping grocers really capture that market share that's coming online. And as a result, that helps them serve more people out of their existing store infrastructures without having to make incremental investments. And the reason that they partner with us is that we can do it in the most cost-efficient way because, grocery delivery requires scale in order to be able to be efficient. It took, I think, 100 million orders for Instacart to be able to turn a profit. That's really hard for any single grocer to get that scale in order to make that profitable. And so we can deliver that in the most efficient way. And then what we're doing is delivering a lot of technologies that also allows them to save in both technological talent that they don't have to hire and also labor costs at a time where labor shortages are a really big issue. And that's why you're seeing us expand not just in terms of technologies that we offer online, but also technologies that we offer in-store to help grocers with their entire cost structure.
I'm so glad that you bring up the profitability side of this because, yes, it's important to grow your market share when more people are moving online, but you have to do so in a profitable way. And that's what I wonder, too, is what do grocers have to give up? I mean, I'm not immune to even looking on my Instacart and comparing my Sprouts with my Safeway to find out where prices are cheaper. So how do you avoid this race to the bottom?
Well, I think the thing that was most interesting to me when I joined this business, I've been CEO for about a year and 3 months, was the incredible loyalty that people have to specific grocers. And so it is not really a race to the bottom because most of the time, these grocers have a very differentiated value proposition. And a lot of what we're working with grocers on is set their prices in a way that attracts, their core demographics. So let me give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we acquired a company called Eversight, and it's a company that allows grocers to figure out through artificial intelligence how to best price products so that consumers get the best possible prices on the items they're most price sensitive on, and grocers can charge more on the items that customers are less price sensitive on. And so everyone wins. Customers get better deals on the things they care more about. Grocers get better margins. And so with tools like that, we feel like we can actually really help the industry both have, affordability and profitability for grocers.
Let me push back a little bit on that loyalty piece. I think people were loyal to their grocers when they could go in person and they could see the cashiers and they could feel their fruits and vegetables. When you do everything online, some of that goes away. And Fidji, but you were at Facebook before this, so you're very well attuned to the personal or the social side of things. Is it possible to get that back when you're using an Instacart, when you're sort of commoditizing the different products that you sell?
So I think it's important to understand first off that the Instacart app is only a portion of what we do as a business. What we also do is take all of the technologies that we built for the Instacart app and put them in the hands of our grocers for their own and operated businesses. So if you think about Sprouts, we built the e-commerce site for Sprouts.com. Same thing for Costco US, Publix, Wegmans. And these properties can be entirely customized to make grocers' differentiation shine. And we're doing the same thing on the Instacart app as well. We're creating more ways for grocers to merchandise what makes them unique. Wegmans invested enormously in their prepared foods. They want that to shine online, and now we have a section for ready meals that allows them to show that selection. Another grocer is going to focus much more on produce, and we really want to have an experience that showcases that. And I think that goes at the heart of what I think needs to happen online, which is transforming the experience of grocery from being purely transactional and utilitarian to being inspirational, because food is so inspiring. And so grocery shopping doesn't have to be a chore. Like, the grocers have understood that forever. It can be incredibly inspiring. And so by working with our grocers and our CPG partners, I think we can create these incredibly inspiring experiences. Like, we recently launched List, which is a way for influencers to create curated lists of like food items or CPG products more generally, that people can purchase in one tap. And these are the things that are going to make online shopping as inspiring as in-store. And ideally, we also bring the best of the online experience to the store, which is what we announced this week.
Like Lizzo, who's noticed the Lizzo marketing when you open up your Instacart lately. Something that Instacart has always, at least in my mind, separated itself from other food delivery companies like a DoorDash, like an Uber Eats that's increasingly going into groceries, is you guys have always had this sort of close relationship with the merchants on your site, whether you're finding advertising solutions or, like you said, building the websites. You're actually taking that a step further now with dark stores. And I want you to explain the difference between what you're doing with these dark stores, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with it, but mini micro-fulfillment centers, right? So you can get quicker delivery of certain household goods. What are you doing with that that's different than some of your competitors?
Yeah. So at the heart of our business is a strategy that is all about empowering grocers to succeed and compete with some of the digital new entrants, whether it's a DoorDash, whether it's Amazon, GoPuff, etc. We don't compete with our grocers. We do not own inventory. We do not become a retailer. Like, none of that is part of our strategy. Our strategy is empower them to do the best that they know already how to do, but with our technology. And so that's fundamentally different from these players, where all of these players are fundamentally becoming retailers. And so when we think about, for example, dark stores, we think about it as like a service that we can provide to retailers. And so the way we go about it, for example, what we did with Publix in Miami, is set up these facilities where it's entirely like the retailer's inventory, their supply chain, they control all of that. But through our software, we can run that on their behalf, so they can, like, offer 15-minute delivery if they want to. And the reality is that, I personally don't believe that the 15-minute grocery delivery model on its own is really a sustainable thing. I believe that it's a complementary thing to everything else that a grocer offers, the weekly shops, the bulk stock up for your essential items. And so we want to provide a set of services where grocers can address all of the needs of their customers in a complementary fashion across all delivery windows, if customers want it fast, if customers want it next day, and that fits into that strategy.
Is 15-minute grocery delivery possible? Is it a good thing for the industry?
I think it's a good thing for a very specific set of needs. I mean, I'll tell you, my daughter got a fever spike the other day, and it was, past bedtime, and it would have been really hard for me to run to the convenience store, and so that was really, helpful to be able to have that. But I don't think that, especially in this moment in time, to your point, where inflation's rampant, where we need to make our services more affordable, I think that's going to address a very specific set of needs for more affluent audiences, because we do need to charge more for deliveries that's 15 minutes. And so that's going to be a segment of the market, but I don't think that's the entire market. In fact, we actually want a range across 15-minute delivery all the way to no rush next day delivery for people who are totally fine getting their deliveries a little later, if that allows them to save a couple bucks and makes that more affordable.
That's a good example. Are you guys competing in that space? It feels like we were talking a lot about this in a different market environment, the 15-minute delivery, when there was a lot of VC money supporting private companies like GoPuff. They kind of pioneered this. Is it profitable? Are we going to see this continue as groceries, as dark stores become more efficient?
I think it can be profitable if it's combined with the rest of the use cases. So if you have a customer that's spending $100 weekly for their weekly shop with you, and then you add another trip on top of that, so that as a grocer, you make sure that the consumer doesn't go to a convenience store or something, but like you capture that incremental purchase in the middle of the week if someone's craving ice cream at 10 p.m., that can be profitable because you've already acquired that customer, you make that more profitable. But I think as a solo use case, that becomes incredibly hard.
And I think what you're getting at, it comes down to data. How do you know what people want if they want that ice cream at 10 at night in 15 minutes, right? And that, I guess, how do you use the huge trove of data that Instacart is sitting on? You guys have been doing this for a long time. How can you use that to help grocers, and how do you need to protect that as well so that grocers and merchants and even technology companies don't have to worry about how it's being used, privacy, a competitive advantage to someone they don't want to have it?
Well, a big part of it is that everything that we do with data is as a goal of improving the customer experience, and then we take all of that improvement in the customer experience, and we allow grocers to use that on their own properties. And that's why we're a strategic partner to them, because if I was, partnering with all of our grocers and just telling them, like, hey, we're just a marketplace, and everything that we're cooking over there, you're not going to benefit from that on your own properties, that would resonate a lot less well, because, I put myself in the shoes of my partners all the time, and as a grocer, you're not agnostic as to whether a sale is on the marketplace or on your own website. You want it on your own website, obviously. And we have the advantage of making the same amount of money on our marketplace as on, grocers' websites. So we are agnostic. And so when you talk about data, we make 300 million replacements a year based on, tons of data that allows us to figure out that if this particular product is not on the shelves, the best replacement is this other product. That's something that makes the customer experience so much better, which grocers care a lot about because they want their customers to have the best experience. And then we take all of that, and grocers can benefit from that on their own properties as well.
I want to ask you a little bit about the labor side of things. There's your corporate employees, but there's also the drivers and the Instacart shoppers that you guys have. Have you seen anything in the last few months? Are you seeing more people come to the platform for that gig economy work, more people driving?
Yeah, it's been interesting because I thought that with unemployment where it's at, we would actually see more pressure, and we haven't, because sadly, because of inflation, people are looking for ways to complement their income. And so we are seeing more shoppers coming onto the marketplace, and we have a very good, equilibrium right now. It's also important to know that Instacart shoppers are very different from food delivery drivers or ride-sharing drivers. The majority of the time spent is in the store picking items. We tend to get 70% of shoppers who are women, 50% who are moms. They do the kind of work they do mostly during the day, whereas, obviously food delivery and ride-sharing peaks at lunch and dinner. So we don't end up competing head-to-head with these other companies, and we've had a very steady, flux of shoppers. And our job is to make sure that they love, working with us. And we've launched more than 15 features in the last quarter to make their experience even better.
It's amazing how quickly this time is going by. I feel like we could talk for an hour easily. But I want to make sure I ask you, because you said you've been in this job now for just over a year, right? Mm-hmm. Came from Facebook, were there for a long time. How are you finding it being, CEO of a company in this market environment? And where are you spending the most time right now?
Yeah. So I find it incredibly inspiring because, and that answers your question on where am I spending most of my time, I'm spending most of the time with retailers because they literally make or break our business. And I've learned so much about the industry. I grew up, daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter of a fisherman. And it's, I've never lost the appreciation for people who feed the world. And I've learned so much about that industry from retailers. And so the thing that I'm really spending a lot of time trying to figure out is like, where is that industry going over the long run? And to me, the opportunity I saw a year ago was that it wasn't just about helping grocers move online. We've done that, we will continue to do that well. It was really about the digitization of the entire grocery industry. And so that's why this week we announced Connected Stores, which is a set of technologies to enable grocers to really address the needs of the omni-channel customers, not just online, but also in stores, through smart carts, lists that you can sync between online and in store, so that we bring the best of the online experience to the store and the best of the in-store experience to online. And all of that was inspired by conversation with grocers who were telling us that if a consumer is consuming both online and in-store, they tend to be way more valuable than an online-only consumer or an in-store-only customer. And so we spent the last year really figuring out how to blend these two worlds so that we can be the technology backbone for grocers and really be the antidote to Amazon, who is obviously entering these markets through the angle of technology. So that's been a lot of fun over the last year.
I'm glad you bring that up as we sit in this room full of people, that the evolution of Instacart is online and offline, this hybrid world. Yeah. Last question for you. The elephant in the room, particularly for my interests, is an IPO. I mean, we've been talking about this forever. The market feels firmly shut at the moment. You took over this company a year and a half ago when some might have argued that you guys should have already been public. I know you're in a quiet period, so you can't say much about this. So I guess maybe I'll ask you, how are you handling sort of employee morale, especially some employees that have been there for so long that have seen your valuation shoot up and then come back down a little bit to earth, as have valuations in the public market? How do you look at it? How do you sort of inspire your employees in a moment like this?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One is our mission is give people access to the food they love and more time to spend together. And I think it's an incredibly inspiring mission. And so our employees are really in it for the long run, and they see, this big mission that we can make happen in the world. And then the second thing is that the business is really strong. And so, you have to keep employees focused on the things in our control. We don't control the market. They're going to go up and down. They're going to do their thing. But we can control the values that we create for our consumers, for our retailers, for our CPG partners, for our shoppers. And on all of those fronts, we're making so much progress that I think employees are incredibly inspired by that. And it's just going to be, a matter of waiting for the markets to realize that we're building a great company in a great industry with all of you, and go from there.
Well, fantastic note to end on. Fidji, it was a pleasure to sit down with you. I think I talked to you right as you took this position,
yes.
So it's been interesting to track the evolution. Thanks for everyone for listening, and talk soon. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.